Ashley Judd did
Okay.
an interview with Diane Sawyer last night.
Yes.
First
tell me about
time speaking verbally and aloud about Harvey Weinstein in a sit-down interview. And she got visibly emotional. It was tough to watch. And she had an interesting statement to him.
Yeah, I heard about this. Tell me what she said. I mean, I know that she was a victim, and I know she's described kind of her involvement with him and her gone over what happened to her, and I'm sure that's very emotional to talk about at all. But there was an odd or interesting comment made.
Yeah.
Right? I remember hearing about this in the newsroom. What is it she said, and what do you think the deal is there?
Yeah, she specifically said, "I love you, and I understand that you're sick." And from my perspective in particular, I feel like that comes from a place of deep compassion that a victim, after so many years and time and processing, could only say.
Right.
And it's amazing that she's been able to go through something so horrific and still have the compassion to say, "I love you and I know that you need help."
I think the thing
interesting.
people have the issue with is "I love you."
Right.
I would agree with you, and again, I'm not in that situation, nor can I try to put myself in that situation. I realize that, but I think that she sounds like someone coming from a place that was able to come to terms with what happened, and there was enough time, and whether it's with therapy or with her family or whatever, that she can go over what happened and what everyone else is talking about with this individual and be able to forgive. And you know, there's a lot of people out there that is one of the mechanisms to deal with issues like this, is to forgive so you can move on and heal, right? So again, I'm not saying that's exactly what she's doing here, but I think that, to me, she doesn't mean it in the way that some would hear it, and because there's a lot of talk on social media about this. So again, I think another thing probably going on here is religion. There, you know, if she's Christian, which I believe she is, that is a very, very that is something that the Christian religion does, where everyone can be forgiven. You know,
Right. And that
Jesus died for the sins of the people here on earth. So I understand if that's where it's coming from. I believe she's religious, if I remember correctly. So that may be where she's coming from.
And giving that forgiveness.
Right,
is
and
what
just
will allow her
saying
to
that,
move
I
forward.
think it's interesting, because if you're not religious, you probably, again, or why you're on social media talking about why would she say something like that. So it's interesting, and again, I try not to say anything or judge anybody for how they react to this. You know, I have spoken to people, and I'm just going to tell you this. I try every time we're on Facebook Live to tell our Facebook Live audience things that we don't, or you won't see on the website. I've talked to a lot of people. We've broken a lot of stories on Harvey Weinstein in this situation. Tara's in the newsroom. She hears me on the phone. You know, a lot of people around Harvey Weinstein, some of them, not a lot, some of them are trying to kind of piece out the information and the victims and the different people as some being consensual. He's said all of it was consensual so far, but try to kind of piece out the actual victims and what they're saying and those specific instances. So I think there's probably people out there that listen to this and judge it that way. And then there's people out there, I think most people, who are like, this is a person that was in a position of power who took advantage of his situation repeatedly, and that everybody in a lot of the social media environment is saying, good. It's good that this has come out. It's good that young people and older people can discuss how wrong it actually is, so that it doesn't happen anymore. I mean, I have a 4-year-old daughter. Like, I can't imagine my daughter being in this sort of situation where she feels like she has to do something to try to get ahead in her career. I mean, I can't even imagine that. So again, you know, yeah, it's not a fun subject to discuss, but it's important to discuss it for exactly that reason. That
we're seeing a real
that you actually lay it on the
shift.
table, and everyone who's young and people who maybe are around this kind of stuff, and even specifically him that are older, realize it was wrong, so that they can stop and curb the behavior now.
Making conscious choices.
Like I said, I don't think this is the last time we'll discuss this topic, nor this individual,
Unfortunately.
and the people that work in this town, because again, this is rampant in this town, and there's a lot more to come probably on that subject.